So welcome to another Tuesday training. Today, again, we are going to be transforming the way that you are showing up online, the way that you are showing up. What I mean by online is like with your clients when they answer the phone. Okay. Like as soon as that moment happens, it's like you are turned on. It's like they have this few seconds with you in order to feel whether or not like you're somebody that they want to talk to or somebody they want to get rid of. It's really, really important. So we have fitness here, gym memberships, marketing, financial. Amazing. Yeah, just drop here your chat. Drop here in the chat what you sell, what you do. And pardon me, just 1 second. I can't do 100 things at once, unfortunately. I really wish I could, but I can't. So let me make sure I help these girls out. Here we go. Just gonna put this to the top of the page. All right. Boom. Amazing. Okay, so the purpose of this is for you to get into your feminine energy. Now, this is training specifically for women, but it's important because you might get a couple things out of here if you're a guy, so just bear with me. You are trying to go from transactional to relational. Okay, that's the number one priority we're doing right now. And when you're outbound dialing, you only have a few seconds to establish this relationship and to trigger some form of curiosity. As I spill my drink all over myself, love that for me. To trigger some type of curiosity to where people want to have a conversation with you. Now, for somebody that I have outbound dialed in the past, it was one of my first B2C sales jobs, and I had to outbound dial 220 dials a day. So I understand what it's like to feel exhausted. I understand what it's like for people to cuss you out, to yell at you. And I've learned a couple of things over time that really helped me. Even as like an outbound dialer, a setter, I was making 15 grand a month. And I was a single mom and really trying to figure it out back then. And so I'm telling you, I'm going to give you a couple of tools today that are really going to help you. So drop a yes in the chat if you outbound dial at all, just so I can make this relevant for you, just so I can support you. All right, perfect. So, yes. Okay, amazing. Getting some hearts over here. I'm going live on so many different platforms all at once. We have LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. All right, perfect. So we got some yeses here. Okay, amazing. So what does feminine energy look like in outbound dialing? Okay. I want you to write this down because there's a few things that are really important, which is, first of all, you want to have a strategy, okay? You need to have a strategy that works out for you, right? This strategy needs to be something that's fun for you and something that doesn't make you burn out. Because whenever I was first in a role like this, there was a lot of like hustle, push through the day. I don't care that you're tired. Drink another energy drink. Go. And I don't know about you, but I felt completely exhausted by the end of the week. Like it wasn't feasible. I was like downing Adderall to try to survive throughout the day. And yeah, I was making money, but I hated my life. I would look at the phone like I wanted to throw up. I didn't want to pick it up. I didn't want to do what I had to do, even though that was the only way for me to be able to take care of my family. Right? So imagine this, you being a single mom, you need to make sure that you're paying bills. You need to pick up the phone and call. And I didn't want to. I had so much resistance in my body for doing it. And it's because I was doing it in a way that didn't feel authentic. It didn't feel real. It didn't feel aligned to who I was. I was trying to be somebody that I wasn't on calls. Has anybody ever felt like that? Yeah. Trying to be somebody that you're not, using a script that doesn't feel in alignment. Yeah. And it's because I was in this super masculine role and I was trying to be like one of the boys in order to fit in. Right? All the guys are like, hey, I'm giving my numbers up on the board. And I was trying to be like them, trying to sound like the way they sounded. And it sounded really awkward. It didn't even sound like me. I sound super pushy, super masculine, super pressury on the phone. And people felt that, you know, and this was even like 4 years ago. People feel that. People feel when you're only there for yourself and you're not there for them. And this is the switch that I want you to understand. All selling is change, okay? It's your ability as a salesperson to change this person's perspective. That's it. I have to change this person's perspective. And so you need to have tools in your tool belt to be able to influence and persuade this person in order to change your perspective. And I want you to do it in a way that feels in alignment to who you are versus doing some crazy sales script that doesn't really work and where you're just putting numbers up on the board, right? The numbers game is a fucking lie. Okay, pardon my French. It is a lie. It is not a real thing. I don't want you to work so hard to where you're burning out and trying to chug a Celsius in order to get through the day. Like, that is not going to serve you. That is not healthy for you and for your body. However, I do want you to be able to work smarter and work less. And if you're down for that, working smarter, working less, put a me in the chat. That's what you want to roll. If you want to work hard and you don't want to make a lot of money, then you can just hop off this live right now, because I'm not going to be the person that's going to help push you for that. Okay. Number one, connection over control. Okay. You want to try to connect with this person as quick as possible and get them to feel like you understand what they're going through. That's how you establish control, not you bulldozing your way through the conversation, right? That is fake control. That's not real control, because the person doesn't want to be controlled by you. Okay. When you are really good at sales, the person doesn't feel like you're selling to them. It shouldn't feel like you're selling. Right? It should feel like we're just having a conversation. Like, hey, we're just having a conversation here. That's what it should feel like. And so if you're talking to somebody and it doesn't feel like that, then there's a possibility that you're doing it wrong. Okay. Now you have to give yourself a little bit of grace, especially if you're newer at this, because putting the reps in is what's going to give you more confidence, first of all, but you want to make sure that you're learning how to do it the right way. Because if I put 100 reps in and I do it the wrong way, I'm going to start to instill in my brain habits that don't work. So the way that you learn something, right, is that, a neuron in your brain connects to another neuron and creates a pathway, and you start learning something. Just like when you started learning to tie your shoes, when you started learning how to drive a car, like your brain starts to learn how to do it. And that's why you can now do those things on autopilot. So when you're learning a new skill, it's really important that you're learning how to do it the right way. Otherwise, you're going to teach your brain how to do it the wrong way, and you're going to work really, really hard. Number two, you got to be listening. Okay. Listening over pushing. But you want to make sure that you're not listening the whole time. Okay. So there's a little trick to this. When somebody is talking, you want to absorb what they're saying and try to understand what they're talking about from their perspective. Okay. If I don't understand something, that's when I'm going to interject and ask questions. And the only time I'm going to push my way through on an outbound call is if they're trying to get rid of me. Right? So if they're giving you an objection, I'm busy, I can't talk right now. Can we talk later? Can I call you back later? Right? You don't want to be too nice and be like, okay, bye, see you later. Yeah, I'll be right here. I remember this one time. Oh my God. This one time I was so pissed. I'd been outbound dialing all day. I finally get somebody on the phone. He said he couldn't talk right then, but he could talk that night at 6 something p.m. And so I said, okay, I sent him a calendar invite, right? And I waited at the office till 6 something. Now I live 30 minutes away from my house. My daughter, right? I had to get somebody to go pick her up from aftercare from school. And I was like, I'm going to be here. I'm going to try to close this deal. And guess what happened? After 6, I called him, no answer. I texted him, no answer. Called him again, no answer. I don't think I ever even got to talk to that guy again, because what he was saying was complete bullshit. He wasn't going to get on a call with me later. And sometimes we think that somebody is, and so we're like, okay, sure, bye. And then all of a sudden, like, you're wasting your time. So that's the only time where you want to push yourself through, okay? And the way that you do that is all with tonality. I want you to get rid of the lie, the myth that sales require force or pressure to succeed. It does not require force. It does not require pressure, but it does require a little bit of creativity. You got to have a little bit of creativity, right? And so when you get somebody that gives you an objection, there's the same objections that are happening over and over again. Okay. If you're outbound dialing, you have the same several objections. It's not new objections that happen, right? I'm not interested. We're already working with somebody. I'm busy right now. Can you call me later? Like, it's the simple ones, right? That you have over and over again. And so it's your responsibility as a salesperson to know how to overcome those objections like clockwork. Which means that if you get on calls today and somebody gives you an objection, like I'm busy, and you hesitated, or you didn't know how to overcome it, or you're like, okay, goodbye, right? It's your responsibility to go role play and practice that objection over and over and over and over and over until the next time it happens to you, you never get that issue again. it would be very irresponsible of you to get an objection and then to hop back on the phone and keep going. Like, no, you got to role play that a couple times if you didn't know what to say. Okay. It's a pattern interrupt, right? So the whole thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that we are pattern interrupting our prospect and they're not pattern interrupting us. So somebody throws you a curveball and you're like, you know, like give yourself grace, right? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Same thing here. Somebody does something and you're like, oop, I wasn't prepared for that. Go get prepared and come back. Okay. Because if it happens again, now it's your fault. Like you just wasted money because you weren't prepared for that objection. And the way to overcome those, right, is not just to logistically and logically prove to them why they need to be on a call with you. No. This is just a cold call. Give me 30 seconds of your time. If you don't like what I say, I'll hang up on myself. Like that stuff is such bullshit. Like people know that you're not telling the truth. You don't want to lie in calls. So we want to make sure that we are only here to change someone's perspective, right? What are you selling? If it's an outbound call, this person typically put their information in somewhere and they're expecting a call back. Maybe they don't know when, but they know someone's going to call them, right? So your job, number one, is to pattern interrupt them and to act like you know who they are and they should know who you are. It's the very first thing, okay? So how do I do this? Let's say that somebody filled out a form on Facebook this morning for marketing services, okay? The very first thing that I want to do is pattern interrupt this person. I pattern interrupt this person by using their name. Now, their names, let's say it's like Sally or John, right? I'm going to say it in a confused tone, and then I'm going to use my name, and I'm going to use it in a familiar tone to make them feel like they should know who I am. So, John. Hey, John, this is Kayla. Kayla Hodges? Yeah, I think I saw on Facebook this morning that you filled out a form about maybe putting some marketing services in place for your company so that you can, again, I'm talking about outcome, so that you can increase your revenue and grow this year. I just had a few minutes before my next appointment to try to give you a call back to see if we can even help. Did you find what you were looking for, or what ended up happening with that? Okay, my tonality is going to be all over the place. And there's a couple things that I did there. I'm going to break it down. Number one, I pattern interrupted. I used their name. Number two, I used my name. I said my name and I said my last name in a higher pitch. Why did I do that? Because it's kind of like if you're talking to somebody from high school and they're like, oh my God, this is Sally Smith. And you're like, who the fuck is Sally Smith? Pardon my French. Who's this? Your brain is thinking about how do I know this person? And we're continuing on. I keep them on the call longer. Why am I doing that? Because you only have 7 to 12 seconds to get a prospect to let their guard down and to trigger curiosity. If I do not accomplish the goal by letting their guard down and trigger curiosity, then I have an issue because this person put their guard up. Now, how hard is it for you to close somebody or book an appointment or anything if somebody's guard's up? 10 times harder. You're going to be working the whole entire time to get their guard put back down. It's kind of like the same thing if you go out with a guy and he says something freaking weird on your date. The whole entire time you feel put off by the guy, he needs to work to put your guard back down. If he in the first place didn't say anything freaking weird, you want to have your guard up. Same thing. Okay. So the second thing I did there, in addition to the pattern interrupt, saying my name in a familiar tone, I talked about what it is that they were looking for and the outcome of it. You are not selling the thing. You're selling the results of whatever you're doing does. You're not selling a home. You're selling higher status, a safer neighborhood, more room for your kids. You're not selling a car. You're selling transportation on the way to work or higher status of like feeling successful because their whole entire life they were told that they will never be successful and they think that getting a Ferrari is going to make them successful, right? Every single thing that you sell sells a problem and or an emotional need. You are selling an outcome. So it's really important that you talk about an outcome in the very beginning of talking to anybody on an outbound dial. Why is it that they called? Why is it that they filled their name out in something? Why is it? What outcome were they searching for? Because people are really busy. They fill out shit all the time. If you can put the outcome back in their mind, it will remind them of the emotional feeling that they felt when they were filling out that form. Okay. So if I'm thinking about an emotional outcome of somebody that's looking for insurance, maybe I say, yeah, it looks like you filled out a form about maybe putting a policy in place for your family to make sure they're financially protected when you do pass away, right? Again, outcome. What is it that they were looking for? Now, the next thing I did was push them back a little bit. Yeah, I just had a few minutes before my next meeting to get back to you to see if I can even help. Okay, why did I do that? Because most people are freaking thirsty. They're so desperate, they stink of commission breath, and they just need a glass of water of sales land. And people don't like that. Okay. It smells weird. It feels weird. It feels disingenuous. It is disingenuous. It's inauthentic. So what I need to do is I need to push them away a little bit. Yeah, I just had a few minutes before my next meeting to get back to you to see if we can even help. Okay. Few minutes. I'm only going to take a little bit of your time here, essentially, is what I'm doing. So now they're not going to give you the objection of, hey, like, oh, I can't talk right now. I already told them it's only going to be a few minutes. So I drop their guard, right? And then I say, did you find what you're looking for, or what happened with that? And my tone is like, I'm just chill. And so if I can get that part out of the way, now we can start to have a conversation. And then the next part of my call is only going to be focusing on asking questions about the situation and putting doubt in their mind that what they're in right now is wrong, that there's something off. It's the same thing as like if you have a friend that's dating some trashy dude or a friend that's dating some trashy girl and you're talking to them about them. If you tell them how awful they are, they don't do anything about it, right? But if you start asking questions about the situation, they start to feel like maybe something's wrong. So for example, like let's say that you have a girlfriend and she's dating Chad, okay? And you know Chad was out last night with your other girlfriend, but you can't like tell them because then it's like I'm breaking her trust, like you're in a complicated situation. So you need to just ask some questions here, okay? So the questions could be like, hey, so like walk me through like, how long have you been dating Chad for? Oh, 3 months. Oh, 3 months. And do you guys hang out like every weekend, or how often do you hang out? Yeah, we typically hang out most nights. Huh. And did you see him last night? Yeah, I did. Oh, really? At what time? Yeah, we had dinner together and then he had something, afterwards. He said he had an early morning, so he went to bed. Are you sure about that? What am I doing? She's like, what the fuck's going on with Chad? It's just through my questions. I'm asking certain questions. And now she's like, there's something wrong. Okay. You have to ask questions about someone's situation in order to make them feel like there's something wrong. There's something wrong with Chad. Okay. And you insinuate that there's something wrong with your voice. From there, that brings pain up to the surface. And then I can ask about pain, right? Like with everything you're doing right now, what makes you feel like it's not enough? Or like, do you 100% like the policy you have in place right now? Oh, how come? Right? I'm just trying to get through some of that. And then I start asking them about what they're wanting in the future, right? If this problem is solved. And what I'm doing is I'm taking them through a process. This process is called RED. It's real, empowering, disarming questions. And it's so great because it's based in science and psychology. So you're asking certain questions that cause chemical reactions in the body. When I start asking about Chad, okay, and I start asking about these issues and I insinuate doubt with my voice, it starts to put somebody in a little bit of panic mode, right? They start to worry. Cortisol is being released in their body. And then I ask about that pain even deeper. And now lots of cortisol is being released in their body. They go into fight or flight mode. And then when I start asking about what the future will look like, once the problem is solved, they get a serotonin, oxytocin release in their brain, makes them feel good, makes them imagine a memory that hasn't even happened yet, which is crazy because our brains can't tell between past or future. So our brain feels like that's happening now. And then I take it away by asking about ramifications or like what's going to happen if they don't change, which is the most important thing. Because if you want somebody to buy from you, there's only two ways. Okay. They have to feel pain or the fear of future pain if they don't do anything. There has to be enough pain in their situation right now to cause them to want to change, or the fear of the future has to be strong enough to cause them to want to change. So if I'm asking them about both in a sales conversation, it's going to cause them to be in a heightened sense where they have tension that's being built up inside their body, not pressure, tension, to cause them to want to do something about it, right? There's science behind this. Now, and then I move into my next step, which is a booking appointment or closing somebody, right? Now, what's really important is that you create a game for yourself. So like what I used to do was this little tally system. So part of being in your feminine energy is not plowing through your day. Okay. You don't need to work, plow through your day. Don't do that. It's not good for you. But like, let's say it was right now. Let's say it's like 3 o'clock. Okay. I would come up with a system for myself, like on a sheet of paper, which I have. What is this? My utility bill. Perfect. So a sheet of paper, I have 3, 3:15, 3:30, 3:45, 4 across, okay? And in between that, I have a game where in this 15-minute time period, how many people can I call? And I would do tallies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, okay. 10 people were in that call. Okay. Next one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, somebody answered. I had a conversation with them. I put an O. And I would have a game for myself. And it was so good because I don't know about you, but sometimes I get a little distracted. And so if I go through this and I was like, hey, the first 15 minutes, like I was on a roll. And then the last one, I literally only had one call in there. What the hell was I doing? Oh, I went to the restroom. I was playing with my hair. Okay, shit. I need to get back on my thing. Right. And then I have this game where I'm like getting on with myself. Now, I would do that for maybe like a 2-hour block. And then I go have a break. Okay. This is the secret. Men, this is not for you. Okay. Like men, you can work straight through because your body's wired like that. Women's bodies are not wired like that. It's not healthy for me to plow through my day, work, hustle, be in masculine energy all day long. No. Okay. You need to remove yourself and go do something that's feminine. I don't care if you take off your shoes and put your feet in the ground and ground. It could be you dancing. It could be you doing like a meditation. It could be you sitting. Like, I don't know about you, but sometimes I just sit. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to have 15 minutes of sitting and breathing and just focusing on my breath and focusing on being here and nothing else matters. Why am I doing that? Because I want to fill up my cup. If I'm pouring from an empty cup, I'm depleted. Also, the whole point of selling somebody is influencing them. How am I supposed to influence you if I have no energy? Okay. How am I supposed to lead you if I can't lead myself? I need to be pouring from full cup. I need to make sure I'm taking care of myself so I can show up super powerfully. Right? I can't really do that if I'm like hustling, dying. That's why like on Fridays, most of you guys like have bad parts of your week because you're like freaking burnt out at that point. Or why a lot of women quit 3 or 4 months after starting a new role because they literally poured themselves out. Right? Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. I think so many times we give ourselves a hard time. Now, here's something that you can do before you get on calls. It's really going to help you. Okay. I want you to ground in your energy. You need a mindset reset. Okay. Before you get on a call, what would it look like if you like do some deep breaths, like 5-10 minutes before the call, nothing else happens? And if you're outbound dialing like this, okay, you're going to have to do this in your break. So before you go do a little blitz with yourself, hey, like an hour hustle, right? And you sit and ground, deep breaths. And visualize, I'm so serious, visualize these people picking up on the phone and wanting to talk to you, okay? Because I remember when I would do this and I would imagine, I'm like, please don't pick up, please don't pick up, please don't pick up. Okay, that doesn't freaking help you at all, right? You can't imagine that. You're going to have source and bad energy. So imagine they're picking up that they want to talk to you. That's going to feel really good. That you're going to be able to help them. Imagine them like, yes, I want to work with you. Yes, getting the credit card out. Yes, all the things. Imagine them. And you could say affirmation to yourself. Like I remember I was so awkward when I first started doing this. I had to literally brainwash myself into believing that I was successful. Because your outside world is not going to match up with what you're believing for yourself. It's really hard when you feel like, man, like I'm really trying to do something right now and the bank account is not matching up. When you've been working so hard and you're trading so hard and for some reason you still can't get it. Like this is when the inner work is going to take place. It's so important. right? Even like a affirmation, like I am here to serve, connect, and to create value with every single person that I meet. My intention today is to leave every single person better than I found them. I'm here to give, not to take. I'm here to lead, not to follow. Right? I believe in myself so much. I do not doubt who I am. I know what I bring to the table. I know my worth. I'm so powerful, so confident, so grounded. I am so worthy of people talking to me. I'm more than enough. Everything that I say with ease. My mind works quickly. Favor flows in my life. Like whatever you need to say to yourself, like I'm telling you, putting that in your mind is going to be so important. And the second thing you have to realize is that if you're wanting to be successful, you cannot listen to anybody else. Okay? You cannot follow anyone around you. That is not where you want to be. Don't be like anybody unless you be willing to trade places with them. Don't take anybody else's advice. Because I remember being on this journey and working like this was so freaking lonely because no one got it. But I was so hungry to figure it out, so hungry to become successful. Like I had to remove myself away from people, right? All I did every day long was consistently feed my mind, my heart, my soul with things that would lift me up. And like I was the person that poured into me. You have to set your intention. You need to focus on helping, focus on serving, not just selling somebody, right? Write down something meaningful for each like blitz before you go into that. You know, another thing is that like if you have the time, depending on the industry, maybe you can research your prospect before you call so you can see like know them just a little bit more. That might help. And then lastly, when you get on these calls, like first of all, you gotta be your own vibe. Okay. Outbound dialing, you gotta be an energy. You have to be a vibe. You gotta be playful. You have to have a different thing because you want this prospect to hold on to every single word that you say, which really means that you need to fill up your cup because the energy that you have to bring has to be like unparalleled. They have to be like, who the hell am I talking to? Okay. Now, am I saying be super enthusiastic and no, I'm not saying that, but having the energy to where they're like, who is this? Where they lean in, where they're holding on to every single word that you say, which means that you're practicing tonality, you're practicing cadence, you're practicing pausing. Like, and you have somebody that's helping you with that. Like, damn, put on a freaking smile. Okay. They say smile and dial. Dude, you got to put on a smile. You have to realize that this person is not expecting your call and I have to change the energy and I have to get them to want to have a conversation with me. You got to have curiosity there. We have to be kind, right? You want to actively listening to every single thing they say. You really want to lean into real empowering, disarming questions, really getting them to start to feel like what they're doing right now, if they don't change, it would be far more risky than it would be to buy your product or service. If you want to learn some of these techniques, you know, the body language that you're going to need, the tonality, we have a free challenge that's coming up this freaking next week, right? Next week. So we have a closing deals and heels challenge. First of all, we're going to give you a pair of red Louboutins away for free to one lucky winner. So it's gonna be absolutely epic. I think the link is in my bio at Instagram. It's www.closingdealsandheels.com/ESW, like for elite saleswomen, ESW, or the link is in my Instagram, or you can just DM me and be like, hey, what's the link for that? I wanted to go to the Closing Deals and Heels challenge. It is so amazing. We only do it twice a year, but it's going to be 4 days of training. Okay. So 4 days, 2 hours a day where I'm going to go through all of this stuff. We're going to be going through how to call, how to follow up, how to handle any type of objection, how to get yourself in the best mindset so that you can be as powerful as possible. Like this is the chance, you know, and it just depends on what type of person you are, because there's some salespeople who are the like, hey, like, you know, I'm just going to fly at the seat of my pants. I'm just going to try to figure out as I go. You know, they kind of watch a couple YouTube videos here and there. You know, they try a little bit, they role play a little bit, but they're not really committed. They just kind of figure it out. They're kind of comfortable, right? And then you have other people that, you know, they think that they know it all, right? They like make a certain amount commission wise every month and they don't really need to learn anymore. Like they stop learning, they're capped because they stop growing. And then you have people that are really committed to mastery. like really committed to mastering this thing, to figuring out, to take care of themselves, take care of their family. Like this challenge would be for that person that wants to set this year for 2025 to be more than they are right now, to become the best version of yourself. I want you to make more money than you've ever made before, but also feel more confident, more grounded, more peace with yourself. Like you know who the fuck you are and no one can mess with you. And you feel loved, you feel happy. Like you can make all the money in the world and not feel happy. I know what that feels like. This is your chance. This is your time to shine. So make sure you click in the link in my bio or just comment on one of these and be like, hey, I want a challenge. If you comment the word challenge, we'll make sure that we get that link over to you guys and to support you. I hope that this training was helpful. If you have ideas for another training, just message me. How do I sell to another person who's also highly trained in sales without them knowing that you're selling? Okay, perfect. So again, you've being highly trained, it will never feel like you're selling. It will always feel like you're just having a conversation. Like we're just having a conversation. It'll never feel like that. So that tells me that there's something going on with your questions where the verbiage in your questions sounds a little salesy or your tonality is off. It's one of those two. So what we could do is hop on a call with my team members, just message me and be like role play, and we can hop on a call. We can listen to you and kind of see what you sound like and figure out like what you're doing good. Keep doing that, what you should change, and change some of those things if that would help you. Anyways, I hope this training was supportive and that it helped you for this week. Make sure you're signed up for that challenge. I will see you guys next week on it. Love you. Thank you for bearing with me as I've been sick today. I appreciate you. All right. Here we go.